What does a nosy pepper do?
I don't know.
Get jalapeno business.
All right.
Bam! Guys, on oral sessions today, the one, the only, the Swiss Superman himself, Cesaro. So good to see you, dude.
Thank you. I was not paying attention to the intro because I was hiding all the non-video participants, so I can only see you.
Oh, good. I mean, listen, this is an A and B conversation. Everyone else can see their way out.
Exactly. And
Hey,
I feel like I have to zoom so you can't see the rest of my room. that even rhymed, and it had the double entendre in it. It was so good.
Hey, what did the drummer call his twin daughters?
Oh man, I don't know.
Anna 1, Anna 2.
Ah. Oh man, that's really good. Have I told you about this new coffee spot I went to in where I live?
No.
It's called Cafe Karma. It's really good. It's really good. But the only weird thing about it is there's no menu. You just get what you deserve.
I feel like we could literally do an entire podcast all about the dad jokes because that is Cesaro's specialty. If you guys, I mean, people already know that. I know that you get all over that on Up, Up, Down, Down. You get in your dad jokes here and there, but that is the Cesaro specialty.
I feel literally that's like one of my legacies. If there's a bad joke in the locker room, or if somebody says a bad joke or a bad pun, it's just like, ugh, that's a Cesaro joke. And I'm like, yes. Like to me, it was always yeah, that's like if people groan and leave the room after I tell a joke, I love it. I love it.
Where do you get the jokes from?
As Dolph Ziggler would say, my Laffy Taffy jokes. I actually never had a Laffy Taffy. Online. Good. I get them online, or people tell them to me. There's this wonderful Instagram and Twitter accounts that just have random dad jokes. Also, again, what Dolph would say, I'm a hack, so I don't really have much original material. I steal a lot. And by stealing, I mean, like I borrow it and then use it at the proper time, like you have to implement it. It's all about timing, right?
100%. I feel like that is, I don't know if that's like a European thing or what, because I feel like William Regal is also, he is not the king of the dad joke. He does the long drawn out, like you think you're in a full personal conversation with him. And then he hits you with a punchline after you've been talking for 5 minutes and you realize he's just been messing with you the whole time.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, so I wasted the last 5 minutes of, of my conversation. This is great. I just take up 10 seconds of your time, and then you're out.
Just pepper them in. That's one thing that I miss about being on the road is being able to like pass you in the hallway and get those dad jokes. So
get those dad jokes or the forever. I think the one of the jokes that I'm certainly most proud of is my forever 49 joke, or forever 45 jokes about your clothes that you and Summer Rae were wearing at that one interview. And I was like, that was such a good joke, and I just stole it. And that's what I always think of.
What does a nosy pepper do?
I don't know.
Get jalapeno business.
All right.
Bam. Okay.
You just looked that up though.
Obviously.
Of course. Okay.
That was my prep for this interview, was looking up dad jokes.
Looking up dad jokes?
Yeah.
Oh man.
As he
click. As I'm starting clicking through a bunch of them.
Okay, so we can pepper dad jokes throughout this entire interview because we get to hang out for a bit. But I'm really excited to have you on the show because, first of all, I mean, I know you have like many other platforms you've been able to use, talking smack to your advantage.
Talking smack, thanks to you. That's like your OG.
That's my legacy that I get to leave behind, a platform where people can talk a little.
Yes,
and you got to do that.
Or a lot. And just say whatever they want. Say whatever they want. So
I love that show is still doing, like, I mean, that's the purpose of that show, is to give people a moment to come in there without a scripted promo and get to like say their piece. And you got to do that. We get to do more of that today because this is going to be the year of Cesaro.
It is.
I feel like there's a lot of momentum behind you. There's lots for us to get into. But I want to start at the very beginning, growing up in Switzerland, because Switzerland seems like it's the most beautiful place in the entire world. I'm sure you miss it dearly.
It is. Like I know it's a rumor, but I want to say officially it is. I'm not biased. So there's a bunch of people that used to work for WWE and may not work there anymore, and they send me messages on a weekly basis with like on Instagram. Like when you can send the actual post, and it's like a post of Switzerland. They're like, "Dude, that's not real, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's actually like 2 villages over from where I grew up." They're like, "There's no way, that's not real, that's photoshopped." I'm like, "No, it is real." And then I would always like put over how awesome Switzerland is, obviously. And then people are always like, that's just because you're from there. Kind of like when you say something is cool about Canada, they're like, you must be biased. And then
it's magical.
Exactly. And then we actually went there on tour, and I was like, watch it, the air, it just smells different. It's just different. And then like we landed, and everybody was like, oh yeah, you were right. This is awesome. This is really pretty. But like, I'm like, the food is better. The chocolate is just unreal. And yeah.
How hard was it for you to leave Switzerland? I mean, for you to leave there and this like picturesque, beautiful backdrop. I feel like you probably just had like a beautiful childhood, like running through the fields and mountains of Switzerland. Why would somebody leave that?
I mean, like, see, it's one of those that like when you look back, I had an awesome childhood, right? But like when you're in it, you're probably like, oh man, but it's kind of with a lot of things. While you're in it, you don't appreciate it, or you don't take time to appreciate it. But I did have an awesome childhood. I grew up in a little village that's like right by the lake. I can go to the city on my bike. It takes like 20, 25 minutes. I was faster than the bus on my bike. So yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the bus has to take stops to let people in and out, and I'm really fast. I used to be really fast on my bike. So it was magical. But it's kind of weird because people are like, how do you leave that? I'm like, I literally left the place that I call home, and a really, really good job just with like, let's try to be a professional wrestler for.
What was the job that you were doing before you left?
I worked, this will sound amazing, right? I worked as a data file administrator for Johnson & Johnson, right?
Oh,
so, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Johnson & Johnson, very topical right now. So I worked there, and it was awesome because it was like a small department. It was just me and my boss at first, and then we grew it. And I was the only one that did the job that I did. So I was in charge of invoicing of all the like plants in Europe. So I had to talk to all the different plants in different languages and fun stuff. And it was awesome. And I loved the job. Like I really did love it. And I wouldn't have quit it for anything except the chance to, follow my dream.
So while you're working at Johnson & Johnson, you are obviously like still wrestling at the time, going through training and whatnot.
Yeah.
When did the switch happen that you're like, I'm going to make this my like professional career?
So it would literally be on the weekends I would go and travel to like Germany and Austria and wherever to wrestle, and then drive home sometimes Sunday through the night, take the train, arrive at like work at maybe 6 or 7, and then like go to the top floor bathroom and sleep there for 2 hours, and then go right into work the whole day, go to the gym, and then go home. So that's that like young person energy, when you're like 19, 20, and you're just like, oh yeah, I'll 2 hours of sleep and crush this day. So
you're just ambitious at that point. You want to do it all.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm still ambitious, I would like to think. At least that's what I tell myself. But that's just what I did, you try to rest as many times as you can, and if that means you don't sleep much, that's okay. And then the work, and then I was kind of like, well, I went to the US to train with like Dave Taylor and Chris Hero at the time. And they were like, why don't you come over here? You can wrestle much more in Europe, because at that point Europe wasn't as developed coming to wrestling.
Yeah.
I mean, like WXW was running once a month, maybe. Now they're running like 75 shows a year. And
you look at NXT UK and what they're doing NXT there. I mean, UK, it's huge.
It's amazing. It's really fun to see. So I was like, oh yeah, okay. So how do I do that? I can't just go to this, move to the United States. It's like, oh, you need to get a green card. That's really hard because you need to have somebody, vouch for you. That big global company like WWE or whatever. I didn't have that, so I was like, oh, there's a lottery where you can win the green card, right? I mean, like, let's play the lottery. And I got through the first time, which,
What?
so there was a company that helped people with the green card lottery because it's so complicated and you have to do so many forms and whatever. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll go with them because they helped me. And then it's like, okay, we got to the first process. And I'm like, the first time? Oh, okay. I guess that happens to everybody, right? Later, I found out that one of my coworkers has been trying for 10 years and he never got through. And it was like literally a 1 in a million chance, pretty much. And then another 1 in a million to get through the process, because then you have to send in your like resume and you have to have somebody vouch for in the States or have money saved up or whatever it may be. And so I got through with that. And then I was like, okay, then it was easy to leave, because if you get that chance, if you get that opportunity, you cannot say no. Like, it was like, okay, here's your opportunity, go. And I'm like, okay, I need to make this count. So like, I feel like that's been similar to a lot of times in my career, or how I approach pretty much everything. It's like, I don't think I'm special or deserve it or whatever. I just think I got handed this opportunity. So let's make it the most for every single person who didn't get it and may have wanted it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I represent that demographic.
What was your like
Long-winded
parents'
answer.
reaction to you leaving, to that opportunity coming up, and you walking away from this great job and leaving your family?
Um,
Are you close with your family? What do you have like siblings and stuff?
I am, and I talk to them like pretty much every week.
Yeah.
And you know, share stupid jokes with my brother and stuff. So
Is your brother
good old
older or
times.
younger than you?
Younger.
Okay.
He's younger.
Is he like ripped like you are?
No, but he's ridiculously strong.
Oh, okay.
Like, just but so it was kind of like one of those. Of course, it sounds like weird. Like, hey, there's this guy from Switzerland who wants to be a wrestler, right? Like, I'm like, okay, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving, and then I'm going to try this for 3 years, and I'll see if I come back. But like, mom was always very, very supportive, and she was like, yeah, no, you do you. Like, so it was kind of like she always supported me no matter what I did, and no matter that meant that I left too. It was just like, I need to go my way. I need to go my own way and do it my way. And I'm always very extremely grateful for that, because it is something weird, but it's also something that I feel hopefully inspired a bunch of people to step out of their comfort zone and just go for it and
Hell
not look
yeah.
back.
Yes, of course. Does your family ever get to come over and see you wrestle?
No, a couple, they came to some shows in Switzerland, but
They've never been
in
able
the
to come to
States.
the US since you've been here.
No, because they don't, like, it's just they don't like to travel that much. So
Fair enough.
fair
Honestly, I
enough.
don't.
Plus,
Why would like they don't want to leave Switzerland? I don't
plus,
blame them.
plus, I always say, like, the best seat to watch it nowadays sometimes, and like, is almost at home if it's not like super
Yeah.
close to you, right? I mean,
Yeah. No, it's true. That's very true. What do you think is the deal with so many fancy pants celebrities going to Switzerland to just like hide away for a bit? Like Shania Twain ditched America. She's over in Switzerland.
So did Tina Turner, right?
So I just watched that documentary,
what do you
and I
mean?
was like,
Tina Turner has been in Switzerland forever.
I did not know that. I did not know Tina
Phil
Turner.
Collins. All right.
Oh my God.
And this is just from the top of my head. There's more. There's plenty more.
So is it that just that like celebrities don't get recognized in Switzerland and they can just live a peaceful, normal life?
Well, I think it may also have something to do with the low taxes. Low taxes, really good health care, really good retirement. But like, again, they're not Swiss. Tina Turner actually is Swiss citizen
She is
now,
Swiss.
so
yeah.
Which is extremely strict to become a Swiss citizen. You have to pass tests and talk in Swiss German and everything. So
so different than when you and I became American citizens, where we just had to say we could speak English.
Well, we already speak very well English, I would like to think. I also may or may not have corrected my officer that did the questionnaire with me about, like, you have to know your history and your facts about the United States, and it's like a whole book you have to learn I'm sure you remember. And
Yo,
then,
yeah, I just did it.
and then like, so one of the questions she asked me was how many seats are in the House of Representatives, I think it
Mhm.
was. Right now, I can't remember from the top of my head, but
Like 200 and something, right?
yes, yeah.
265, something like that.
I was about to say, like, yeah, I was going to say 56 or 65, one of those. But
Yeah.
at that point, I knew the number for sure. And she was like, "Oh, okay." And she was looking it up, and I'm like, "No, I'm telling you, this is not a this is not a
This is a
guessing game.
fact.
I know,
Yeah.
yeah." So it's very hard, but I like probably the fact that in Switzerland, yeah, like everybody's like you have your privacy. I would like to think. I also have been told that I have this like old school glorified version of Switzerland when I left it. That's still ingrained in my head. That may have changed a bit, but like even like I feel like people are maybe a little bit more respectful, or they just don't bother you.
Yeah.
Even if they recognize you, it's kind of that like, oh, cool, like, hey, over there, that's Tina Turner, like, that's cool, like, but you don't go over there and bother them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's just a different. I feel like it's a different celebrity culture, if that makes sense.
It's kind of like that in Canada a little bit because there's no, as much as like we know huge celebrities, obviously, but we don't have a star. We don't really have our own star system within Canada. So it doesn't quite equate the same way.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
we
like,
can
let's be honest.
appreciate it, but
I can think of one big Canadian celebrity right now.
I mean, come on.
Celine Dion. Come on.
There, Celine
Which
Dion. I just
fun
said
fact?
Shania Twain. She's a
Fun
great one.
fact: Celine Dion actually Eurovision Song Contest for Switzerland. That was her breakthrough.
Oh,
Yeah. See.
really?
Yes.
How did
Yeah.
she pull? How was she able to win for Switzerland?
So I think the song was composed by a Swiss composer and she
Ah,
sang it. So that's within the rules of the
okay.
Eurovision Song Contest, which I'm a big fan of. Especially.
Eurovision's amazing.
Oh, so have you seen the movie?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that soundtrack is still playing when I work out all the time.
You listen to the weirdest soundtracks when you work out.
I have a very eclectic playlist. Every time I was at the PC and worked out, I was like, whoever comes in, you put your playlist on because my stuff is all over the place. But I love it. It's all stuff that, especially in the gym, it needs to resonate with me in some kind of way. And it can be a slower song. That's perfectly fine as long as it pumps me up.
I like a slow song to work out to every now and then. I like to like zone out and like,
Oh,
get
yeah.
in touch with the old emotions and then
Oh, yeah.
crank out a good workout. It's
100%.
amazing. It's so good. Okay, so you learning the 5 languages. What was the first language you learned outside of obviously you were speaking Swiss first, right?
Yeah.
And
So
then to English?
yes. So I'm going to give you, I'm going to start in the beginning because I'm very long-winded today. I'm drinking my coffee. Anyway, so yeah, Swiss. So everybody just like speaks Swiss, which is like a dialect of German, technically, in their regular lives. That's just what we speak. But we read and write German. So when you go to school, you start to learn what we call High German, which is just German. So that's how we read and write. So we speak Swiss, and then we read and write German. And then in fifth grade, you start to learn French because that's one of the 3 or 4 main languages in the country. And then you can opt to learn Italian, which I didn't. I opted to learn English. So I did that. So I learned.
You weren't speaking English at all until that point.
No. Well, like, no. I started learning English, I think it was 7th grade. I would like to think 7th or 8th grade. I did read a lot of basketball results in English and then looking up words in the dictionary. That's how I kind of learned or watched wrestling.
Yeah.
So then I learned French and English in school. And then when I moved to the States, when I started with WWE, I was like, you know what? They offer this awesome thing that's like, they're like a tuition reimbursement where you can go to school essentially to learn more stuff. So I was like, okay, I want to brush up and learn Italian properly. So I started to learn Italian, and I'm currently working on language number 6.
What is that?
I'm not not divulging that just
Come
yet
on.
because it's one of those like I'm learning it, but I want to bust it out at the right time. So
How do you
learning in
have the
secret.
time for this? It's not like you have a ton of downtime. I mean, you have more now, but like when you took the time to learn Italian, you were on the road and super busy.
I did, and at that time I also took French lessons to brush up on my French as well. Um, I'm like in it. I like to be productive, and like so I feel like 1 hour out of the week is not that much to ask to learn, and then like do homework and stuff. So I don't know. I'm just like I always like, okay, what can I do to get better? What can I do to do this and that? And then like, yeah,
Jeez.
I don't know. I have this weird mindset of putting a lot of pressure on myself at all time, which I don't recommend to anybody at home because there was like, so what's your motto and like what inspires you to work hard? And I'm like, I don't want to share that because it will literally give somebody the same, brain trouble that it does with me, where I'm like, I need to,
You're
I'm
just
not doing
always on
anything.
the go. Okay, so obviously you are regarded, I shouldn't say obviously, but I mean this is a fact. You are regarded as, one of the best wrestlers in the world. You're one of the best professional wrestlers in the world. You speak 5 languages, you're working on a sixth. You're one of the most gifted athletes. What are you bad at?
Playing League of Legends. I've been playing for 2 years. I still suck at it. There's a lot of things I'm bad at. I would think, but it's kind of. I'm extremely competitive. You've been around me a bit. You may know that. So anything I'm bad at, I'm immediately like, okay, how can I get better at this? Or like if I know I have, if I know I have an appearance, like when, be it wiffle ball or be it anything, I'm like, okay, how can I practice? How can I look this up? How can I up, down, down? If it's like, okay, we're playing this game, I'm like watching YouTube videos on how to get better, or like tips and tricks for beginners, like before we even start playing. It's just like I have a problem.
You're
This is like
obsessive.
this is
You're
like a
obsessive.
this is like a therapy session. Like I have a problem. Help me. So to me, there's a lot of things I'm bad at, and I feel like it's good to be bad at stuff
You need to be
because that's how
humbled.
you learn. Yes, and I'm humbled all the time. You find videos of me tripping backwards over steps on the internet all the time. I'm extremely clumsy, as in like I feel like in the ring, like you said, like I'm like nimble and stuff, and I can jump around, and then like you see me outside of the ring, and here I am, like tripping over the canvas and like spilling my coffee over myself. I have a white shirt on now, which I can never have when I'm on the road because like 2 minutes on the plane, I'm like, oh,
Coffee
so
spilt.
that I'm not good at certain things, and like, but I feel I heard this the other week, the other year, the other day, and I thought it was really good. It's like one of your strengths is admitting your weaknesses, and to me, I'm like, I know what I'm not good at, but I know people who can help me with that. For example, like creative writing. I don't think I'm good at creative writing, and I never was, even as a kid. Like I have this like crazy idea. I'm like what is it when you have to write stories in class, right?
Uh-huh.
It's like, oh, it needs to be at least a page long. I'm like, I have this great idea. This is gonna be crazy, and I start, and I'm like, I don't know, like it was never as good as I thought it was, but when I collaborate with people, it's fun, like so there's that, but there's plenty of things I'm bad at. I'm not good at gardening, for example. I tried
Oh
that.
yeah, not good at that
um,
either.
all my plants die, maybe because I'm also just I need to do more research.
You can talk to
um,
Brian about it. He'll help you. He's like Captain Green
I
Thumb.
know. Brian is amazing at it. I don't read enough, like Brian the other day was telling me how he read like 30 books already, and that was like in January, and I'm like, the last book I read was 70 years ago. I don't know, but it was just like, there's plenty of things I'm bad. I'm bad at reading out loud. Like if you give me
Oh,
something to
really?
like, horrible at it. There's a bunch of singing I'm terrible at. So there's plenty of things that I'm bad at. I just try to hide it
Good.
or make
Good.
fun
That
of
makes
it.
me
Yeah.
happy to know because I keep seeing you just excel at things. I'm like, there's got to be something he's trash at.
Oh yeah. I'm yeah.
It's okay. Hey, but like you said, admitting your weaknesses can be your strength. We'll
I
work
think
on it.
I think that's very important because especially nowadays, uh, people they always just talk about the good stuff, right? And
Of course.
they only post the good stuff too, right?
Mhm.
Um, so and I mean, I'm guilty of it too. When I post like, oh, look at me, I'm lifted this much weight today. I should have probably posted then, 7 weeks before when I just horribly failed and fallen on my,
Yeah.
it's just like you fail and it's part of it and it's completely okay. It's part of the experience.
It is part of the experience. You got to let people know. Okay, so a little birdie told me that when you first moved to the U.S., you were living in a house in a cornfield.
Yes.
Where was this?
That was in a little town called Leesport, Pennsylvania, which was outside of Reading, Pennsylvania. Okay. And if you ever talk to anybody who knows Reading, they go like, "Oh, Reading, that's a tough neighborhood there." It was literally in a cornfield, and speaking of culture shock, me with the walk and bike everywhere, or took public transportation back in Switzerland. I was like, I'll get a bike because I don't have the money to get a car. I'll have a bike. I'll be great. I'll just bike to the gym and bike home. After 3 years of living, or after 2 years of living there, I biked to the gym once, and it took me an hour and a half to get there and 2 hours to get back. So quite the hike. It was like a 20-minute walk to the next neighbor. It was literally out in nowhere in the cornfield. So anytime when I was just like by myself, I was like, this is weird. I just blast loud music and try to pretend that I'm not alone out here in the cornfield. And if
yeah, it sounds like where you would be abducted by aliens.
Yeah, that would be the positive alternative of all the stuff that went on in my head. What could happen to me while I live out there? But it was, looking back, it was fun.
Yeah, we have to have these experiences. You got to start somewhere. The cornfield was your start. Okay, so you're sipping on your cappuccino, your espresso, whatever it is that you're drinking. We know you're a big coffee drinker. We will get into that. But have you never drank alcohol?
So I had little I had zips here and there. Like, it's not that I'm like, I never had a zip of alcohol. Like, but oddly enough, I can tell you exactly when and where I had zips of alcohol. I had like some champagne to, cheer at New Year's Eve when I was younger. Have
you ever been drunk a day in your life?
No, I've never been drunk.
I would love to see that.
No, never been drunk. I had a shot of vodka on. It wouldn't be high school after 9 years. What is that, high school? Maybe high school in the US. I don't know. When we had our last day of whatever that is, Sekundarschule für uns Deutsche, we had like a big goodbye party because everybody just went their separate ways after that. And me and my friends stayed up all night, and I had a shot of vodka, and I was like, or whiskey, whatever it was. And I was like, okay, that doesn't feel any difference. I'm still tired. And then I had a shot of vodka Red Bull a couple of years later when I was like 19 or 20. It was all my friends like, you need to drink. I'm like, why? It doesn't do anything. So I was like, screw it, just to prove everybody. I had one glass or like one vodka Red Bull, and it was literally like, it didn't taste good. It cost $25. It didn't make me feel any better. And I was like, that's a complete waste of time, money, and just, it's stupid.
So like, perhaps you could be a person like you've drank, but you've never, I'm surprised at even like one drink on your like pure body, you think that would give you a little buzz.
I mean, like, it didn't make me feel great. Like, it didn't, was like, so it was just, it didn't do anything, and I never drank beer or anything. And it was just like, yeah, why? Like, I never really saw the point. Like, when people go like, oh, this wine goes great with this steak, I'm like, okay, I get that point. Sure. Not that I ever drank wine, because I don't know.
So this is not like an aesthetic body thing of deciding not to drink. You just are not into it.
Yeah, I'm not into it. I mean, like, also like aesthetic body things. I don't really care, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, about aesthetics. I always
train. Nice for you to say.
Well, sorry. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but I always felt like I want to train for function. Yeah. So to me, if I was this or that, didn't matter as long as I can perform to the best of my ability in the ring. So yeah.
That makes sense.
And
That's
I'm also
fair.
like, I'm a creature of habit and I'm very boring when it comes to eating. Not like you, like a foodie with my own cookbook out and stuff.
Fancy. I know, because you travel with your meals, right?
I do, yeah. And so for example, cereal, right? I'm sure you've been around me. You've seen me eat cereal with protein
Uh-huh.
powder, which is like the
Oh,
patented,
yes. Yes.
which is like the patented Cesaro meal.
Yeah.
I've been eating that for 10 plus years, and I still love it. I had it this morning, so it's like it's like I just love my comfort food. And by
John's
comfort,
like that too. He has his things that he just like, he doesn't deviate off of his, like, that's what he eats. I think
exactly.
that's like more of a dude thing.
That's why I got so. That's why I got along so well with him, because it's just like, yeah, that's what we do, and that's it.
Oh,
You know,
totally.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
100%. Okay, so what were some early gimmicks that were pitched to you that never made it onto or into the ring?
Like at WWE or in general?
Anywhere. Anywhere.
Oh, well, so when I first started, I was you know, when you first start, you think like, oh, I'm gonna be cool. I'm gonna wear shorts, a sleeveless T-shirt, and sunglasses. And
Oh,
it's
hell
gonna be
yeah.
cool. And I was like the skinniest kid, you know, with like this. It was something. And then the next month they were like, hey, we found you a tag team partner who I never met, and we want you guys to be these Swiss bankers. And I was like, oh, okay. But we were like, screw it, let's do it. So me and my tag partner back then became this the Swiss Money Holding, which was me, aka the most money-making man, and him, the permanently profit-producing partner. So it was amazing. So we just came out with suits and ties and little Money in the Bank briefcases, and our catchphrase we would just go everywhere, and whatever the city had that was fancy, we just bought it. That was our promo. Every single city we went to, it was awesome. So I was Swiss money holding for the longest time, for the first 5 years of my career, and then even when I came to the United States, and then I just kind of deviated. We went to the Kings of Wrestling from there. I did that, and then when I came to WWE, it was pretty much I did a bunch of stuff at FCW, but the rugby gimmick was next, which was pitched and done. We were like, "Oh, you play rugby?" I'm like, okay, cool. And then the yodeling came.
Oh my
Came and
God,
went. Yeah.
I forgot about that. Who
How
were you
can you
doing the
forget?
yodeling with? Who are you
By
doing that with?
myself. By myself. It
Didn't
was
you have
just
a
me.
manager at the time?
No, I was like, I think it was right before me and Zeb and
Oh, okay.
Swagger, and when I became a real American. Then the Real Americans was
Yeah.
next, and then me and TJ, and then me and Seamus, and then me and Shane. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much you saw all my
Jeez.
gimmicks.
Was there, well, then we had like because they were like really putting over the 5 languages, which that's when
Oh,
you were
the
with Oksana,
5
right?
languages. Yeah. That was part of the rugby. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But
So
I don't.
was there anything that they wanted to pitch to you that you never actually executed?
No. I mean, like, not that I can think of, because I'm pretty much of the mindset of like, anything I get thrown at me, I'll just try to make it my best. Like, there was nothing that I was like, nope, not doing that. Like, because like even the yodeling, I was like, I again, like I was like, I cannot yodel. Like, yodel is like an art, right? That's like
I know.
going out there and playing the guitar, and you cannot play the guitar. So they're like, go out and yodel, right? And I'm like, I can't yodel. They were like, oh, you'll be fine. I'm like, I was literally listening to yodel music for like 4 hours before I had to go out there and just like trying to make a noise that somehow sounded similar. So if anybody listens to, like that actually yodels, I'm sorry.
Well, you know, Lacey Evans can yodel, right?
Yes, she can, and she can do it much better. But it was just one of those. It was like, okay, make it work. Like whatever they throw at you, you make it work, and you try to knock it out of the park, because you never know what sticks.
So here we are now, WrestleMania just around the corner. You're having your first singles match.
First singles match at WrestleMania. I'm very excited. God. And we have people back.
And people are going to be back.
Like, people are going to be back.
Is huge. I feel like this is the thing that, like, obviously you're going to be super psyched about it, but I feel like anyone that has been this like huge Cesaro fan from day one to where you're at now, it's like it finally feels like you're being given the ball. Do you feel pressure going into this WrestleMania to like really take the reins here and show everyone why you're such a badass?
Well, yeah, I feel I feel like I have that pressure every single day, um, because there's so many people that I feel support me and want me to do well, and like that I represent in my mind from all over the world. And this is my first WrestleMania that I have a singles match, so of course it's like the pressure's on, because I want to make everybody proud. I want to show everybody that I deserve this. That I will show everybody that what they believe in can happen. That what they believe in is happening. That I am worth of their support. That I can actually do this. So like there's a lot of pressure, and I always build it up even more, because I'm like, okay, I need to do this and do that. Like I said earlier, I'm always under the impression of like, okay, what can I do to get better? What can I do? Like I'm never like, oh, I'm freaking awesome. Like I'm always like, oh no, I'm not that good. I need to do this to get better. So there's a lot of pressure, and also like with the whole thing with like Rollins with the promos and stuff. It's like he was like, oh, your potential. I'm like, yeah, I'm not the one that's like telling everybody like I deserve it or this is my potential. Like, no, I want to earn it, and I want to be there and prove everybody. So like the pressure is on immensely, but the trick with anything is just to do it with grace, right? To go out there and do it and hope for the best and just be true to yourself and make it the best you can.
There's got to be a part of you that really wants to show Vince everything that you have. I mean, you look at the conversation. I mean, you go back to Vince talking with Austin and talking about you, saying, about you grabbing the brass ring and you having these moments.
Well, that's the thing. It's like people are like, oh, you had momentum before, and then it flounders, and then you have momentum before, and like it gets harder and harder to build momentum, I feel. But I also feel like I've been pretty good at building momentum out of nowhere or talking smack. Thank you, Renee. So that's just what I always feel like I always need to prove to somebody, even if it's me, that I can do it, And of course I want to, like there's not just one person, like the thing with Vince from the podcast that you said, I was like, okay, yeah, of course. Like, it's like one of those, yeah, of course. Like I'm still here. We're like almost 7 years later and I'm still here and I'm doing really well. And like, that's just speaks for itself. And again, that's one of those that I feel that actions speak louder than words, because there's a lot of people that can come out the next day and go public or on Twitter or whatever and be like, well, this and this, and I am this and I am that. And I said that, I don't know who I said it to, but it's like that talking smack promo that I did, that would not have worked 5 years ago, or it would have not have worked. It worked now because people see my body of work and they know what I say is not just what I believe in, but also what I live by and what I do every day. Like I'm not the one that says like, I work really hard, I train every day, I do this. Like, no, they've seen me on TV and off TV for the last, 8-9 years doing it all the time, every time. So I feel like actions do speak louder than words. And then if you actually say something, it just backs it up. But I was always under the impression that I don't want to be the one that's cheerleading myself. Like, that's just lame. Like, I'm just not that guy. I'm like, it's very kind if other people say it, but like, that's why I feel like there's so much pressure, because so many people believe in me, and I do not want to let them down. I do not want to let my friends down who helped me. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people who either put in a good word about me or spoke nicely about me, like you. Like, I have a lot of people watching, and I feel like a lot of people that follow my career and like believe. I'm like, I need to be there for them, but also like it has to come from the heart, and that's all I can do, and that's what I do.
How different does this year feel for you? I mean, you've had tag moments at Mania, you've won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania,
Yeah.
but now to be going and to have Seth be your opponent, how different does this all feel?
So like looking back, I had some pretty cool Mania moments. Like I won the first ever Honor the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is incredible. By the way, that's the plaque right there.
Oh, hell yeah.
See? Yeah, there it is. Very proud of that. It was at WrestleMania 30, big milestone. It was the first ever. It's Andre the Giant, who's European. I'm European. It's just.
It made sense.
Oh, by the way, so there's an old promoter called Renee Paquette who used to run Hanover, and he was the one that discovered Andre. And I know a lot of people say they discovered Andre, but I actually went to his house in Switzerland. He was like the only Swiss wrestler before, like that was huge. He promoted tournaments and stuff. And even he said he tried to bring wrestling to Switzerland, and it just nobody cares. So a lot of people say they discovered Andre. He showed when I went to his house. He showed me pictures and photo albums of young Andre, like in his first match and stuff like that. So absolutely amazing. It came kind of like full circle. And then, of course, I was there for the Hardy return with Hardy's return with Sheamus, which is huge because that's kind of how I grew up, and I watched Edge and Christian, Hardys and the Dudleys, and all that stuff. Me and Sheamus also wrestled, Braun and the Kid, which is which is unreal to look back at. Like that's a cool moment. This one is my first singles match, and it's against Seth Rollins, who had arguably one of the best runs of WrestleManias in recent history. So, just like that's another hurdle to overcome, and just a great, tremendous chance to prove my worth.
And what about the chemistry between you and Seth in the ring?
We have. Here's another thing. Like, as many matches as we had, I think the last singles match is 6-7 years ago.
Whoa!
Right. So like. The last singles match has been a long time ago. So this is fresh, which makes me very happy because it's a fresh matchup at WrestleMania. That's awesome. As a fan, I'm excited. Look at me. I'm so humble. But me and Sheamus wrestled, John and Seth so many times.
Yeah.
In tag team matches all around the world for a year straight. And so there is a lot of chemistry, and it's almost like, we have matches that were amazing, when any of us was hurt, because you always tweak something, or your back is hurt that day or whatever. And we always made it work. We always had great matches. But it's just, I'm very excited because it means a lot, because Seth has also been there since I was in FCW. He was there at Ring of Honor. So it was one of those that the story goes back way more that people may know. So it is very cool on a lot of different levels. And of course, I want to swing him out of that ugly suit he's wearing every week.
Okay, so how many swings do we anticipate you're going to be able to get out of Seth? Because I feel like you're going to get the new Suplex City shirt, but Swing City.
See, so okay, so I'm gonna. I was going to hold on to this for a bit, but since it's, I feel like I'm on your podcast, I can drop some cool stuff. I had this idea the other day, everybody makes the fake, the number shirts, but this actually fits. And it's Cesaro 360, I just swung your ass.
Yes. Oh my God.
Get it? It actually works 100%. So, yeah.
That's brilliant.
I want Cesaro 360 shirts. And signs at WrestleMania. That would be awesome.
Okay, so we got to get it started here. Let people know now that we're going to have fans in Tampa. They get to be there and get the Cesaro 360 signs.
Yeah, so I think that would be fun and something fun. But with the swing, it's just, it came out of necessity. And this is something similar that when I first started the swing, actually, the first time I did the swing in WWE was in Canada. It was in Toronto. Look at that.
My people.
It was in Toronto against Santino, and
he's a good person to swing around.
How Canadian is that?
Yeah,
and it just was one of those again where I was like, okay, I need to create some kind of momentum, and I did. And it's fun to see how many people enjoy the swing, and swing is in the air everywhere you look around.
How many do you think is your 37. Max? 37?
Well, it's WrestleMania 37. So I'm going to put myself on the spot here by saying it needs to be at least 37, right?
Damn. Okay.
So, yeah. But it's always hard because, you don't know, tiredness and everything plays into it. So Who knows? Who knows?
Do it early in the match. Get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Yeah. Try to swing him as soon as I can.
Who's been the hardest person to swing so far? Unassuming. I mean, obviously, if you've got like, you know,
Kali.
Big Show.
I mean, like, you know, Kali was the hardest one. Big Show is impossible. There's a bunch of people who are straight up impossible to swing. Just by the way of like body composition and weight. You know,
who's like unassuming though that you wouldn't assume would be like difficult to swing, but just their center of gravity's all wonky.
So like anybody that's like very like short, trying to think because like people with like short legs, that makes sense. Like short legs and big midsections, you know, that's usually the hardest ones.
Like a drumstick.
Like a drumstick, yeah. So like a drumstick, but like the challenge is just get him going, and then it's off for the races.
Then you got that momentum behind you.
Exactly.
Okay, so you kind of briefly touched about Seth and his hideous suits. He's really leaning into these suits right now.
He is,
and you know, bless his sweet little heart for making some fashion risks. What are you going to do for WrestleMania gear, and are you going to sew it yourself? Do you still sew all your own gear?
No. No. I have.
So you're capable of it.
I probably would be if I had time. I haven't. So all the tearaway suits I made myself pretty much. And I still make the ring jackets myself. And that doesn't mean like I don't sew them. Like I buy them and then I put the lettering and all that stuff on it. So WrestleMania gear, I already ordered. So I'm not making the gear. But I will be doing like the lettering and the designs and the layouts of stuff. So there's definitely stuff that I made going into it. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a little bit of a layered look this year. I'm always trying something different, and I always feel a lot of people go way over the top at Mania, and I'm always trying to do a little classy, you know, a little something different. So oh, thank you. That's what I try. So should be interesting. Should be fun.
All right. Well, I look forward to seeing what you're going to put together then.
Oh,
I can't wait.
Thank you so
I can't wait to see what it's going to be. So it's been very public, obviously, that you have re-signed with WWE. But I also think that it's, I mean, it's been on like, I saw it on the internet anyway.
Oh, sorry, okay, yeah.
I saw it on the internet. But I also, while reading that, saw contrary to the fact that at one point during the pandemic, just like the lack of having fans there, how much that really affected you and made you really kind of reconsider what you were doing for a little bit.
100%. I mean, it's still, that's the worst part. And like the reason why I kept going was it is really hard without fans, because to me, that's such an integral part of what we do. It's kind of, it's like the 6th man or the 12th man, or however, whatever sport you're playing, however many players it needs, add one.
The extra.
the extra. But it's really, it adds so much, and it's such a big part of what we do. And to take that all away, it just kind of, and to me, the live events was always like a lot of the fun where you can try new stuff and fail. Again, I'm a big fan of failing because that's how you learn. So you can try that, you can have fun, you can do different stuff, and then you do TV, which is completely different, right? And now that's all we do, and there's no fans. So it became really hard, but on the other hand, there's a lot of people who want to be entertained and are fans, and for that you go through it and you make it as good as you can. And I feel like that's what all of us tried. That's what I tried, is like, okay, let's provide a little bit of escapism and a little bit of fun every week that we can, however we can do that. When it was me and Shin, we had a lot of fun doing different promos and different stuff like that with Shinsuke Bin Shinsuke, which is, by the way, Shin is the coolest person I know. Period.
He truly is. He's one of those people that like you just want to be best friends with.
He's literally the guy you'd be like, if he would be at school or whatever, you just see him and be like, I want to be like that guy. Like whatever he's wearing. Want to get that
Shinsuke rub.
Yeah, like whatever he's wearing, like, oh man, I wish I could pull that off. It looks so cool. And like then you will go out and buy the same thing and you put it on. You're just like, oh, no, I can't do that.
And nobody can just pull off like a flared wrestling trouser, but he does it with effortless
effortlessly.
coolness.
And then anytime I see him at the airport or at a coffee shop, and we literally see each other randomly at weird coffee shops all the time. And it was like even before we teamed, and it was just like, damn, he's the coolest person. He's just, and he comes out, like I said, like with his whole flared look and all his mannerisms.
Uh-huh.
It's effortless, dude. It's so cool. And you just be there and like watch him. It's just, it's awesome. And
It's amazing.
so we just, it, as hard as it was for me to like get through this whole thing with no fans, like there's obviously people who have it way harder. And like then you kind of like think back of like, okay, how about I just shut up and do it because it's fun, and let's make the best out of it,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well,
so like to me, like that's always like every time I think like, oh man, this is no fun, I wish I did this, I'm like, just take a step back and like, you don't there's people who have it worse and they're making it work and they
of
smile
course.
and they have a good day. So what's wrong with you? So,
Give your head a shake.
yeah, that's what I look in the mirror, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Just smile and be happy.
I heard that, are you trying to start a clothing line? Is this a thing?
Is this a thing? I'm trying. Well, I'm trying to like, share the love, and it's a process, as anything is.
Uh-huh.
So we're making baby steps, but hopefully in the right direction.
Who are you working with on this?
Well, I'm talking to my
You don't
friends.
want to say.
So the same as the bar tracksuits that came from Chalkline. So we kind of talk to some people there.
Amazing.
Hopefully we can make it work, because it's just something that I owe a lot to wrestling, and I feel like I met a lot of cool people through wrestling, and a lot of times these days people are just trying to find the stuff that makes us different. And I would like to focus on the stuff that brings us together. And one of those things is wrestling, because there's a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions on a lot of different topics, but they all love wrestling. And that's why we are here. And that's why I'm talking to you. And that's why I get to know you. And, like it's just so many things that are connected to it. And I'm like, why don't we focus on that? And that's kind of the message. And that's the thought behind it. And like, those guys, they love it as well. I mean, like they're huge fans, and they have an awesome collection of different products. And it's like, yeah, why don't we focus on that and be happy and spread some positivity? And that's the goal behind it. Yeah,
I love that. And your personal life, I know you don't want to talk about it, and that's okay. But why, or what's like the decision that goes behind like making sure to keep your private life and your public life so separate?
So I'm a huge
it can
Marvel
be a struggle. It can be such a struggle.
Yeah, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I realized that lately, or over the last many years. And there's a saying in there, and it's probably not from those movies, but that's the most recent time I heard it. And it's a piece of advice that Tony Stark's dad gave him, and that's like, no amount of money ever bought a second of time. And I feel like that's very fitting, even in like our lives. And like last year, it's like everybody was home more, yes, but you also realized you have a lot more time with the people you spend time with at home. And when we were on the road, 5 or 6 days a week, like we just wanted to be home sometimes. But no amount of money that you make can buy you time at home. So, and no, like, for example, like, with like Brody passing, like we sat together on the trip to Saudi Arabia, and we just had a blast. And it was like one of those where like, that was a little bit before he left, so he was kind of like antsy, and I was just like, oh no, this is great, and like it was just, we had these great talks and great conversations that I will forever cherish. And you don't realize it until after, like something terrible happens, that like what amount of money you would pay to get a second back, And I feel like the two things, and I just kind of just made that up, so here's my long-winded answer, but it's like the two things that you'll never get back is time and or privacy, because So to me, that was also like, maybe it comes back to the Swiss thing that we talked about earlier. Like
Mhm.
that's just private. Like you don't talk about certain things. And I chose this profession that puts me in the public light. None of the people I share my life with, be that family or friends, whatever, like they didn't choose that.
Yeah.
So, for them to get harassed or whatever, like you see it online or whatever, it's just like
Mhm.
they didn't sign up for that. So what's private is private, and I feel there needs to be there also needs to be that air of mystery, right? And like John is like the master of that, I feel like, because
He's very good at it. Yes.
like we used to call him the fox, because like you don't know what a fox is. He's just like so.
He's weird.
There's just something about that I feel like that's something important, and especially nowadays with people just giving away everything of their
Mhm.
private life and sharing it, and like there's certain things that are none of my business, and I people don't need to hear my opinion on it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
but like everybody nowadays is so quick of like, well, I think this. I'm like, yeah, well, let me do research. Let me think. Let me form
Yeah.
an opinion. Like when people, I got asked that the other day in an interview about, like if I think fans should be back or whatever, and I'm like, that's not up to me. There's people that
Yeah.
are doctors and have degrees that they have to make those decisions. Like,
Mhm.
so my opinion as a like, if you ask me about professional wrestling, I tell you, and I would like to think my opinion has some weight because I know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah,
if it
you're an
comes to other
expert.
parts, I'm not an expert on that. So that's, I feel like a lot of people, maybe, there's certain things that they never get back in privacy. I feel like is one of them.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely. A lot of integrity here with Cesaro.
But
Um,
that is one of the key things, right? Like
yeah.
integrity. Like that's what I said earlier. It's like you need to make your actions matter, because if your actions don't match your words, like there's a lot of people that talk a
Yeah.
lot. If your actions don't meet your words, I would rather have people be like leading by example instead of telling people what to do. I was never the
Mhm.
guy that was like going up to people after matches or like pulls them aside and be like, hey, you need to like, no, I do it a certain way, and if you respect me and you like what I do, you will hopefully do that as well. But other than that, like like, who am I?
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that 100%. You kind of just like stay in your own lane and people can either take what they want from it or not. Either way. What do you want to do after wrestling? What does post wrestling Cesaro life look like?
Ooh, I don't know. That is a really, really hard question. I want to write a cookbook, and then
Mm.
starting a podcast. Oh wait, oh wait,
Hey,
somebody
you
already did
stay in
that.
your lane.
Oh
I'll
wait,
stay in
somebody
my
already did
lane.
that. Do you have any other? Do you have any other projects in the pipeline that I need to know about?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a baby happening. That's
I
a
can't
thing,
do
but
that. So to me,
could be Mr. Mom.
Mr. um, to me, I feel like once I'm thinking actively of like, okay, what I want to do after wrestling, it's time to quit, kind of, because um, wrestling still is what I love, and it's still my main focus. So, um, and all like my goal was obviously it's WrestleMania, like as it always is, and then it's like already like, okay, after WrestleMania, So, um, yes, I do have stuff that I would like to do, but I can't tell you like that's exactly like after I'm done with wrestling, I'm starting this. It's like, okay, like I do a little coffee thing on the side, which is fun. We talked about the love wrestling thing that I would like to do. I have a lot of fun with the up down down crew doing like Uno and creating content, not just with video games, but like fun other stuff. So like
Making
that's
that
definitely
Snickers money.
yeah, thanks Snickers. But like so stuff like creating content with my friends that entertains people. But that's again that falls to me almost under what we do with wrestling, right?
Yeah.
um, but wrestling still is my main focus, and what I'll do after we will all find out together. And I'll make a promise right now. Once I find that out and once that happens, I'll be right here talking to you guys about it. You get the exclusive scoop on that.
Hell yeah.
But I feel like you've been doing that lately, you know, with a lot of other people when they, you know, make their next career move. You're right there.
I like to get the scoop.
And that's great because it shows that like you love what you do.
Yeah.
And you're really good at it.
Thank you.
Seriously. I always wish that you would have done more commentary. Because I always felt like when you were just all reins off, you can do you on commentary. It was so different and so refreshing. And that's what it needs.
Because it's like, I mean, there were times that I loved doing it, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure you can attest to this even, you know, from what you're doing in the ring, but it's like all of a sudden you're getting a million different people giving you a million different opinions. And then you start to get in your head and then you start to wobble a little bit that you're like, oh my God, how do I get my cart back on the tracks and just get back to doing the thing that I do? And it's hard. I mean, even though you have, you know, I had 3 hours of live TV every week, that some days you'd be like, okay, I feel like that was a great show and I loved doing that. And then the next week I'm like, get me out of here. I hated that. It's hard.
It is. And like, I'm my worst critic. And I'm sure you're similar. It's like, so it's like, I can literally do something and everybody's like, oh, that was great. I'm like, oh no, I didn't do that one little thing. And then I'm like, and like, so, and then it's fun because like, if I watch matches back that are recent, because I know every single thing I thought during that time and that went into it, and it's very fresh in my mind, I'm just like, oh God. And then I watch something back from like a year ago or 2 years, I'm like, look at me back then, you know, that's where I was at. So
I was crushing it.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh, where's that guy? But to me, it's just, that's part of the process. Like you never want to be stagnant, you always want to get better, and I feel like that's my mindset. You know, I always want to crush it.
I always used to get stressed calling your matches because I would always go to call you Claudio. All the time.
Somebody did it the other day, and I think it's awesome.
I would do it to you and I would do it to Tamina. I would call her Serona. I called her Serona on commentary more than once. I remember going to the back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It just happened. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Well, but like, you know, everybody has like their real name, their gimmick name, their nickname, their whatever. Like to me, people still call me Tony because from Antonio. And it's like so many things.
Antonio Cesaro. It was a good name. It had a good ring to it. I liked it.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, thanks so much for hanging out with me. It was a blast having you on the show just to get to like hang out with you, hear more of your story, learn more about you. But dude, you're going to absolutely crush it at WrestleMania. You've got everybody in your corner backing you up. We can't wait to see what you're going to do.
Very excited. Like, wait. I had to put the air horns in.
37 swings. We'll all be counting. Don't let us down.
Yeah. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It was great to catch up. And like I'm super excited about WrestleMania because it's one of those, it's like, I can't wait. It's fun. But like I said, I feel like a lot of pressure, but that's how you like create moments, right? Like under pressure, there needs to be an amount of pressure. And, you know, I have a lot of people out there that I want to make proud. So very excited.
I feel like you were like made for this moment to happen when it's happening. It's like, you know, you have the ups and the downs and the momentum and the fan base so firmly behind you that like, I feel like you're just in this really cool spot to take this opportunity and make it your.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better.